Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome, Tabletop Hour.
We're back.
It is Monday. It is a busy Monday out there in Wargaming world. Let me tell you, we're tired. We the BoLS crew. We have been typing all day.
It has been
morning.
Go. Yeah, here at the BoLS HQ.
That's right. In our deep underground bunker.
Right.
Under the mountains.
Under the mountains of news and rumors. What
of Texas.
What have we been working on, Larry?
Yes. So first things first, we had a whole list of things that we were going to talk about. We're going to talk about Wake the Dead, and we're going to talk about Warhounds, and we're going to talk about the FAQ. But the big giant thing that just happened is Fiend of Slaanesh.
Fiend of
Slaanesh. There is a leak. Go to BoLS right now. You can see it. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So apparently, who knows? Whatever.
I mean, this was that rumor engine that we saw. The claw bits are clearly the same rumor engine from way back. So.
Yeah, so we've seen that there's going to be what is it called? The Khorne and Slaanesh supplement book that they've been talking about.
I don't remember the book name, but they showed up that leaks showed up online of the sprues that had been clipped. So we don't know if somebody did some dumpster diving or if somebody just took a photo and whatever. But the sprues had been clipped. Most of them had been clipped out, but you could clearly see that we had of bits left over.
Yeah, there was people couldn't tell, was it a new type of daemonette? Was it a fiend? What was it? It kind of, but we saw, there is now a video out of the thing assembled and fully painted. It looks like it's a fairly large miniature. It's about the size. It's about the size of a
cav unit.
Yeah, it's like it looks to me. You guys look at it and tell me, does that look like it could be cav to you?
Yeah.
Could you put a model on top of it? I think the answer is yes. Just gonna put that out there. We'll see what happens in the months ahead. But it's big. It's kind of a reinvention of the Fiend. The Fiend used to have a bunch of legs. Now the Fiend...
It's got like a slithery...
Now the Fiend is more... Actually, it's more like... What are they called? They're from fantasy.
Not Seekers.
Yeah.
It's kind of... It's like a Seeker, but bulkier.
Right. It's like a chunkier Seeker.
Yeah.
So basically, the old Fiends used to have 4 legs on the bottom.
Yeah.
And now it has 2 little arm... It's
got claws and legs.
It has daemonette crab arms, and it has 2 big legs.
So it's got a big extended torso.
And the big long tail, and the same Fiend head, and it's much larger and bulkier.
Yeah.
Which is great, because...
It's a great reimagining of the model, for sure.
Yeah, it's bigger, it's bulkier. I think it's totally set up to be able to be used as cav in the future. So you could have daemonettes up top. You could have warriors of Slaanesh, both from Age of Sigmar or Emperor's Children, up top. You could do all kinds of stuff with it.
I don't know if I'm excited to see.
I'm excited. It's out there.
It's official too. The sprue pick actually had the GW copyright, and the year was 2018. So we know that it's a very new kit. This isn't. That was my first thought too. Was like, oh, this is probably just somebody that took a Slaanesh sprue, clipped out some stuff, and tried to fake it. But the sprue picks we saw, it actually did have the 2018. Copyright stuff info on them. It's a real thing.
It's real.
GW put the video out. The video, by the way, is really funny too. It's like a GW parody video of
it's
how to dispose of your bits correctly.
It's them saying yep, it was a leak, all right.
Yep.
Whoops, one got away from us. It's out. It's brand new. Literally, this is
this afternoon.
This is screaming across the internet as we speak. So if you're watching it, go take a look.
Yeah.
It's out there. Go to BoLS. It's there. There's all kinds of stuff. We're talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, that's that.
Yeah.
Who knows? There could be more stuff by the time we're done on, streaming.
I mean, it is the start of Orktober.
It is the start of October, which, just for all of the Orc people out there who are like, it's October 1st, and there's no Orc stuff, just chill.
Just wait.
Just chill.
It's
coming.
We know
it's going to be fine. Don't be out there running around flipping out. Where's all my Orc stuff?
Yeah.
It's
Let the Slaanesh players enjoy the fact that they're getting new stuff for the first time in forever. 2 years.
This is the Fiend is the first. This is the first Slaanesh miniature we've seen since the last Seekers were done for fantasy. So this is
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
at this point?
it's a long time. Slaanesh has definitely had the drought.
Well,
the drought is now over.
Slaanesh has been missing.
Yes,
that's a whole other thing.
I have a feeling that the Slaanesh was missing. The Slaanesh was probably missing to give the company and the design team plenty of time to reimagine what they want this range to look like.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they're going to do with that range. But like we're saying, it is Orktober. The Orc stuff is on the way.
Yes.
But it's not here yet. But
a couple weeks, give it some time. But what is here right now, Wake the Dead.
Boom, Wake the Dead.
Wake the Dead. This is the latest in the kind of. It is technically a starter box set for Warhammer 40,000.
It is.
It is the new one. This one is again kind of Eldar are in it. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. Eldar and Primaris Marines.
Primaris Marines versus Eldar, and the big news on this guy is that it has 2 new miniatures in it.
Yep.
You have a really quickly. As everybody knows, we have the new plastic Spirit Seer.
Spirit Seer, and then a new Primaris Lieutenant.
A new plastic Lieutenant. There is a plastic Lieutenant, but I cannot remember where he came from.
The plastic Lieutenant, I believe, came from the other starter set.
Right, he came. So he was all part of that. Like,
yeah.
He wasn't actually separate.
I don't think...
So this one is separate.
We have had 2 other Clan Pack Lieutenants, though. The Dark Angels and the Blood Angels each got Clan Pack. But
That's
I don't
true.
believe
so
we
this
ever
is
got
a generic
a Primaris Lieutenant generic guy. So.
And this new guy, he, while he's painted in Ultramarine colors, he's not actually. There is no molded iconography on him. So this is your generic.
Yeah.
Your generic Clan Pack. Buy it, paint it however you want it.
Basically, if you want to play the Primaris Marines from this box, you can do any chapter.
Yep.
It's just Ultramarines for the storyline. So.
For the Spirit Seer, very cool. Spirit Seers are very, very popular in the meta right now for reasons because they're a super cost-effective way to basically spam Smite.
Yeah,
pretty much. Let's just be honest.
Plus, you get access to all the Eldar stuff too, but mostly it's Smite.
And they're very cost-effective. They're like much cheaper than buying Farseers.
Yes.
And there hasn't been a plastic one.
Nope. We've had metal and fine cast up until this point.
So now we have a plastic. So the Eldar Psychic range is kind of in an interesting spot now. So now with this guy here, who I guarantee is going to be very, very popular, we have plastic Farseer on foot. We have a plastic Spirit Seer on foot. And then we have plastic Warlocks on jet bikes.
Yeah.
So we don't actually have plastic. There's still fine cast Warlocks on foot. Something tells me that's probably coming at some point in the future.
Yeah, because they were
like a little box set, like
the box of
like a spirit. What are they called?
Spirit Council or whatever.
Spirit, yes.
War Counselor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
we totally have one of those. Yeah.
So other than that though, that is everything else in this box is stuff that you've already seen before. This is a classic Games Workshop bundle deal.
Yep.
It has everything in it from Primaris that are very, very new, all the way back to the venerable Falcon.
Yeah, no, Wave Serpent. It's the
Wave Serpent.
Kit,
that's true.
Which is the Falcon kit with.
But when you see it, you will. I just have to show you this because it's funny. Because when we opened it up, we were like, okay, so we know what, like, we'll put the overhead camera on this so that you guys can get a good laugh out of it too. But
the technology difference.
The technology difference. Let's go to our overhead just so we can laugh and show everybody this. Yeah. So we have the put them right here. We have our this is modern
aggressor sprue.
Yep. So we have that's what a modern Games Workshop sprue looks like. It's all nice, gazillion parts, all crammed in there, 3D CAD. And then when copyright 2018, and then let's go back to the copyright Games Workshop 1997 sprue.
A lot of empty space there.
There's a lot of empty space on that sprue.
Yeah.
A lot of empty space. But 1997, 21...
It can drink legally.
The Falcon can drink legally, and wow, it's 21 years old.
Yeah. In America, at least, it can drink legally. It's 21 years old.
So many sprues.
Yeah,
this kit has so many empty sprues.
Yeah. Plus, there's that whole shipping container underwater.
Yes.
It's full of these.
Yes.
If you want to go.
Yep. So all right.
It's changed quite a bit.
All right, we'll put that back in there.
Yeah.
Other than that, you get the things that you expect out of a Games Workshop starter box.
Overall, it's 32 miniatures total. Again, spread between Marines and Eldari. You do get a core rules.
You get the little core rules pamphlet
thing. The two things you don't get in this box, which I thought was a little weird, you don't get dice and you don't get a rangefinder. But it's safe to assume you're probably okay on dice and rangefinder at this point.
And you get the book.
Yep.
You get the new Wake for Dead book. And what this book basically is this continues the narrative that we saw from Tooth and Claw.
Yep.
And it even talks about him. It's Vigilus. With this book, what we get is some continuation of the story. The Ultramarines now appear on the world.
Yep.
They are there to stop the Eldar. The Eldar from Samhain.
Yep.
Are there. They have an interesting one. They're specifically sent to the world by their Seer Council to kill the head of a chaos cult that is planning a worldwide insurrection, and they can't have that, and so they send the Eldar to kill the chaos cultists. The chaos cultists kill them.
No, they get killed.
They get killed by the guard.
Scions show up.
By Scion. Yeah. So what this book basically does is it's more people fighting on the planet, but it introduces Eldar right now on the planet. It introduces the Ultramarines right now on the planet. It introduces that the Scions are on the planet, and it introduces that there are lots of Chaos and Chaos cultists. So, but previously in Tooth and Claw, they'd mentioned that there was like a little war band of Chaos Marines like now and then, but now it's pointed out that there's a lot of Chaos on this world. So, as we talked about, Vigilus is definitely being set up to be the big setting for their whatever they're going to be. Games Workshop is going to be doing narrative-wise over the next, say, few months. I fully expect that we're going to see either more of these box sets with new factions set on Vigilus that are going to continue the story, and possibly even campaign books once they finish up all the codexes. There's only one codex left. Two codexes left.
Yeah, there's
Genestealer Cult. Orcs and Genestealer Cult.
Genestealer Cult, and eventually Sisters in 2019.
Sure.
So
yeah.
But I actually really like the story direction they're taking this. Again, Vigilus is being set up as this big nexus point for all these different armies to fight.
It's very much the new Armageddon.
Definitely. I thought the story was a little. It's short. It's only like I think 6 pages total for lore, but it does set it up pretty well. If you're brand new to the game, it's a good intro to just the overall. What's going on in the universe. It introduces Space Marines for new players. It introduces Eldar for new players. Yep. It even talks about a little bit about the Spirit Stones for the Eldar, and basically the Spirit Seer survives the massacre, gathers up all the Spirit Stones, and then creates a bunch of Wraith Guard using those Spirit Stones. And he's basically the Warseer's out for vengeance. He's not. Yes. Or the Spirit Seer's out for vengeance. He's not out.
He's mad.
He's just mad.
Let me guess. He's potent yet highly emotional because.
Yeah.
Eldar.
Yeah, shocking.
He cannot see reason he's so angry.
Yeah, they talk about it how the Eldar use their psychic powers to kind of see the future and say, hey, this Chaos guy needs to go, otherwise bad stuff's going to happen. They just show up on the planet and kill the guy. They don't tell the Imperials anything, and so the Imperials in their defense, they've had some really bad experience with the Drukhari. So they're like, all Eldar are bad because we've had bad run-ins with these raiders. So they show up and the Eldar are like, hey, time out, guys. We're actually just here to kill these guys.
And then the Scions shoot them.
And then the Scions just murderize them. And then so they have this really poignant moment later in the story too, where the Spirit Seer has returned with his Wraith Guard retinue, and they're marching towards the capital, basically the Senate. The Imperial Senate to murder everybody, and the Primaris show up and hey, whoa, the lieutenant is like, hey guys, what are you doing here? We're on the same side. We're here to stop chaos, and the Eldar are like, yeah, let the world burn now. And so he just
you should have said that before you killed our brethren.
And there is one special character that's not in the box that is mentioned, Calgar. No. Calgar is actually on the planet.
Yeah, that's true.
He is on planet. Well, will we see a new Calgar model eventually?
You will also note that Vigilus is way, way over just north of the Eye of Terror, and Ultramar is totally on the other side of the galaxy. So you're like, wait, how did the Ultramarines get there? That is also explained.
Yeah, Tigurius
and all of the librarians basically form a big. This is
team
pretty much almost exactly the same scene that you read during Prospero Burns.
Yeah,
where basically Tigurius and all of the librarians get together and they basically form a giant psychic beacon / tunnel that lets the Ultramarines reinforcement fleet get from Macragge to Vigilus super fast, all the way across the Imperium, and in doing so, half of them, burn out and die.
Even Tigurius,
he's all sweaty. He's sweaty.
He gets a little withered from the heat of the Emperor.
But they make it.
They make it. They lose some ships along the way, though.
They do lose some ships along the way. I'm sure they're going to turn up.
I'm sure they're going to pop out of real space.
But nice to see Marneus. Yeah, because Marneus was kind of like a guy who was the boss's boss showed up, but I don't really have anything to do anymore.
He's like the substitute teacher that finally walked in. And you're like, I don't have to listen to you anymore. But
fine.
He's been holding down Ultramar, and Guilliman was kind of like, you did a pretty good job, so keep doing what you're doing. I'll leave you in charge.
Just keep the house clean.
Yeah, just keep it clean. But now he's back, and I'm curious to see where they take that that story arc. But it is a good continuation from Tooth and Claw, which was a continuation from Kill Team.
I think it's going to be pretty obvious that the next phase of the visual story is probably going to involve Chaos.
It has to.
Well, Chaos or Orcs.
Oh, I think Orcs are definitely up next because the Orcs are mentioned multiple times as being a faction that is causing trouble on the surface of the planet.
So I'm just really curious, like, how far they're going to take this. Like, this is the first time actually we've ever seen Games Workshop put 2 starter sets not that far apart, both set on the same world.
Yeah,
that has never happened before.
They are really focusing on this planet. This system
they're pretty committed. They are committed to turning this into like a whole thing. It's going to be interesting to see whether this will at some point in the future be the setting for like one of their global campaigns.
Yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me.
Wouldn't surprise me if next year was a summer campaign. For Vigils. It just seems like it's a neat little microcosm. Of the universe at large is focused on this one little system.
They've set up kind of the big overlying theme of 8th edition from the background point of view, and they're definitely putting a lot more attention into the background this edition than they have in like 6th or 7th edition, where it was just kind of status quo and we're fighting. They're definitely moving stuff. So 8th edition is all about the Great Rift, and then recently they've now added the fact that there are two gaps where you can pass through the rift. There's one near the Eye of Terror, and then there's one far in the Galactic East, and Vigilus guards that basically
it's called the Maximum Gauntlet.
Yeah, I mean, effectively what it is they've just replaced what the role of the Cadian Gate used to be.
Yeah.
Right, because it was the Eye of Terror, and the only way in is this one passage, and Cadia guards it, and then they blew up Cadia, and they were like, we need to.
Well, now there's this Great Rift, and there's two
pathways.
Cut the galaxy in half, and the only way to get to either side is to go.
So Vigilus is on one side. So whatever the heck it mentions what the other one is. It's like way over on the Galactic East, but it wouldn't surprise me if like next year we're going to see that one become the next new important.
I mean, it's close enough to Ultramar and the Tau Empire and stuff like that, to where it is.
You could do all kinds of cool stuff over there.
Yeah. So. But yeah, wait to that.
All right. So
can we talk cash real fast on this one, like price point wise? It's $150. We did the math. It's almost $300 worth of stuff in the box.
It is a good deal.
Buy it individually.
There's a lot of stuff in it.
If you split this with a buddy, I think this is a great deal overall. But I mean, it's
only
if you need the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's all solid stuff. There's
there's no real stinker units in here.
Yeah, I mean, you can use Guardians, you can use Wraithguard. The Spirit Seer's good.
Plus you get the 2 models.
Wave Serpent, always decent.
always handy.
And you get the platform with the Guardians.
Yeah. By the way,
the Eldar side's solid.
Yeah. By the way, these are also the full kits as well. So it's not like the push fitter or easy quick build stuff. These are the actual
you get
box set kits.
Yeah. So there's the real intercessors, the real reavers, the real
aggressors.
Yeah.
So it's pretty neat if you're looking to expand either one of those factions or just get dip your toe in. I think it's a good deal. So. Anyway, Wake the Dead. That's all that fun stuff.
All right.
Next up,
the FAQ.
The FAQ.
Oh, everyone's talking about the FAQ. There's so much to talk about the FAQ. We're not gonna,
There were 23 individual FAQ updates that were released on Friday.
Yeah, I'll take this.
Yeah, that were all released on Friday. We've taken the weekend to kind of flip through them all, digest them.
Flip through them all. We have
we're gonna
right here.
Talk about it. If you guys have any questions about the FAQ,
ask us.
Ask away, and we will talk about them. But yeah, it's just it's an interesting.
Alrighty.
So a lot of little tweaks. Some people got a lot of work done. Some people just got like a sentence or two.
There's a ton of stuff in here. We're gonna kind of go over the big things from just 2 of them. So there's the big FAQ 2. That's the big. That is the semi-annual. Everyone's been waiting for this. The last one of these we got was right after was in April.
Yep.
Right after kind of the spring big tournaments, and now
they pushed that one back a couple of weeks to finally get everything situated. So and now this new FAQ they pushed after Nova. So
going over it quickly for you guys. First of all, they have some of the rules that were beta rules are now official. Yep. So they've given them their 6 months. They've tested them out. They like them. They're staying. Battle Brothers is staying.
Yep.
They've actually added a couple things to it. So when you are building this is all for match play. So when you're in match play, you have to build your detachments. Your detachments all have to share a keyword. They cannot share Chaos, Imperium, Eldari, Inari, or Tyranids.
Yep.
So you gotta burrow them down a little deeper than that. That was there. That was in beta. Now it's official. So that is black and white. That is rules of the game.
Again, those are all of the same units in the same detachment.
Correct. Not in the entire army.
Not the whole army,
but
just
in
the
your
same
detachment. Yeah. So you can't like make a detachment that has some Drukhari stuff in it and some Minari stuff in it, and some you're gonna have to commit.
You have to pick one
and go. Psychic Focus. That's the smite rule. So they basically now made that official with the whole, as you start casting further and further smites, they get progressively harder.
Yeah.
Same thing. Everyone liked that one. It worked out.
It works really well, actually.
It does.
In all the games we played with multiple psychers trying to cast smite, you can still pull those smites off. It just makes it a little bit more challenging and just curbs the power of smite enough to where it doesn't feel like it's super reliable and the best option all the time. So.
Yeah, one of the Bulls guys who comes and plays regularly here with us is a Thousand Suns player. So he's definitely maxing out on the smites, and it works. It keeps it. He's powerful, but he's not. He doesn't just lay you out.
Right, and it
works
cool
really
thing,
well.
The other reason I really like it too is it just curbs the smite usage. It doesn't penalize the player trying to cast the smites.
Sure.
Just because you failed, it doesn't automatically mean you get like a warp. What's it called? The double ones or double sixes.
Sure.
It doesn't. Yeah, thank you. It doesn't cause a perils if you fail. You just don't cast the power. So it doesn't penalize you for trying, but it doesn't hurt you. But it does curb you from having a reliable way to cast a ton of smites, which I do like. And
the targeting characters rules, that one always stayed.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one that that was a rule to prevent kind of the early in 8th edition. You were starting to see the character spam armies with just huge hordes of characters all running to try to control your targeting. That rule just took care of that. Yeah. So no reason to take it out. So
fixed a lot of issues.
Tactical reserves. Now we're into the beta rules. This is where it gets crazy. So on tactical reserves, they have changed it.
Well, so again, remember the previous big FAQ.
The
previous iteration, they changed tactical reserves so that you could only deploy for the first turn if you brought any reserves, and they could only show up in your deployment zone.
Right.
And they talk about this. They kind of have a commentary about it. They found a lot of feedback from the players. This didn't really make a lot of sense to players thematically. Like, why are we holding them in reserves if we can only show up in this little space?
It's actually interesting because they changed the rules for competitive play based on feedback that people just... It wasn't any balance reason. It was just that it broke their immersion from being in the game. It was just so clunky and kind of arbitrary that it just made people say, why is this even happening? Yeah. So what they've done is... now you have to the things you put into reserve. Let me see.
Well, first off, they changed it from power levels points to just straight up points now. So it's half of your army points can be in reserve.
Yep.
Instead of power level points, because match play again, most players are using points anyway versus power level. So that just made more sense.
Yep.
But now you can't tactical reserves. You cannot bring anything in the first turn, including Genestealer Cultist. Now but they're working on that.
Right.
You can't bring anything in first turn at all. So if it's in reserves, it's not coming in. And at the start of turn 2 and turn 3, they can come in. Or on your movement phase, they can come in like normal.
Yeah.
But you cannot drop anything first turn. And I think this really solves the problem. Because these guys are, and they say in the commentary, these units are supposed to come in and reinforce your army, not show up conveniently.
Right. They basically said it was critical. So everything shows up either on turn 2 or on turn 3. It's not on the board by the end of turn 3. It's destroyed.
Yeah.
So it's all going to come on in one of those 2 turns. And their overall design goal for this was if you choose to put stuff into reserve, that stuff that you choose to put into reserve, it cannot show up under any circumstances before the other player gets to go.
Right.
That's what they're trying to avoid, is this whole concept of, my stuff's in reserve, but then I got to go first, so now it shows up on the board anyway, and I'm just going to mess the other player up.
Right.
And it's like, look, these are supposed to be reserves.
They're reinforcements that show up later. They're not supposed to show up immediately.
And if they're reserves, then by definition, we want both players to actually get a turn. Get the game going, and then the reserves show up, which is definitely not... Basically, reserves were being used to support Alpha Strikes.
Yeah, support Alpha Strikes and to prevent getting Alpha Strikes.
Right, really. And they just didn't like that whole concept at all. Mm-hmm. So
and if you had a reserve ability that allowed you to do it, basically first turn stuff, there's a list of things back there and later on the FAQ that basically allow you to get a first turn move instead. So that kind of
and they make a note
reworks it.
And they make a note that this for now affects Genestealer Cult, but that this is all going to be taken into account when the actual Genestealer Cult Codex comes out. So
confirmation, it's on the way.
So it's coming.
It is currently in development. It's a quote from the FAQ. So.
We have some erratas over. Let's see, what do we got? They've errataed
things that can. These are effects that typically allow you to move.
Right, early in the game.
The Space Marines, the Raven Guard infantry stratagem that allows you to do that. Same with the Alpha Legion infantry stratagem. These two stratagems, again...
now you can move up to 9 inches.
Right. Strike from the Shadows, which is the Raven Guard one, or Forward Operatives, which is the Alpha Legion one. And again, those two things have been changed to be a free move at the start of the game, I believe.
Yes.
So, yeah. Again, they're still stratagems. You still spend the points. The next up is the Adeptus Mechanicus stratagem. Clandestine Infiltration. Again, same deal. And then for Craft Worlds, the Illic Night Spear and the Rangers.
Same thing. They get to move 9 inches.
Appear unbidden. Same deal. And then the Incarn, Inevitable Death. When you set up the Incarn, it can set up in waiting rather than on the battlefield. So,
right. So you can
reserve.
Right. Yes.
But these are all changes that make sense. Not a whole lot of crazy stuff to go over there.
So, moving on. We now have new beta rules. Another big one, prepared positions.
Yeah, this is a stratagem?
This is a new generic stratagem. Mm-hmm. Everybody can use it. It's 2 command points, and I'm just going to read it to you. The player who has the second turn in the first battle round has access to prepared positions. It's 2 command points. Use it at the start of the first battle round before the first turn begins. Until the end of the first turn, all units from your army that are wholly within your deployment zone other than Titanic units receive the benefit of cover, even while they are not on or in a terrain feature. If they're already receiving cover, they gain no benefit. This is specifically put into the game to give the other players protection against alpha strikes. Again, one of the big things we've seen in the meta and in competitive play is 40k has been an ever escalating war of just I've built this crazy Rube Goldberg machine of the way my army works and the way it deploys and my stratagems and everything, and the entire goal of a certain part of the meta is basically I'm going to cripple your army at the start of turn 1.
Yep.
At the top of turn 1 to where you're never going to recover, and that's just and we're just going to
be going to be playing down the rest of this game.
Right, and you're going to be going through the motions. And once again, Games Workshop is basically saying, no, that's not what the game should be about. Nobody wants to play that game. Yeah. That's not a game that's entertaining. That's not a game that's fun. We need to
do. It's not even interactive.
Right. It's just hey, what do you want to do for 2 hours? I'd like to start a game really hobbled and then basically try to fight my way out of it.
Yeah.
For 2 hours because we both rolled a d6 and I rolled lower. Right. Yeah. So I'm once again I think this is an attempt to neuter the advantage of the player who's going first.
Yeah, just keep it. It's just trying to bring it down a little bit. I don't know if that's going to help out the player going second all that much, to be perfectly honest. Sure. It is 2 command points you have to spend, and you only gain the benefit of cover. So in most cases, it's going to be like a +1 armor save.
I think it's going to be helpful for. If you have armies that have a lot of high value units that aren't Titanic, and your board doesn't have a lot of cover.
Yeah, that's going to help out. But if you're playing on a board with not a lot of cover anyway, you might want to add some terrain.
But the problem is that once again, this is match play stuff. So the people who are going to flip out about this are tournament players, and in general, in major tournaments, not a lot of cover on those tables.
Yeah, it's just a factor of there's a lot of tables and not a lot of terrain to go around sometimes.
Yeah, like when you're playing at your house, with your buddies, you probably have much more terrain than if you're playing at a major tournament.
Yeah.
Major tournaments are going to have big, tall terrain. They're getting better about that to block
and that's
line
the thing
of sight.
too.
But when you push all that terrain together, it's not a giant amount.
Not to dog on tournaments. They have a lot of hurdles to overcome.
A lot of terrain.
But I have noticed the more tenured tournaments, every year it seems like the terrain gets better at those tournaments.
And they have more and denser terrain.
They can just it's just the time. It's a factor of time and just trying to build more terrain for your tables, and it's also a factor of how many tables you have at your tournaments. But that's a whole other thing. This stratagem prepare positions does help address that. Again, it's a +1 armor save for most cases. Is that going to be a huge deterrent to prevent the alpha strike? Probably not, but it will help a little bit, and that might help enough to keep it balanced. Sure. So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tactical restraint. This is the next one. This is actually a big deal. Tactical restraint. So yet another example of one of the philosophies of building competitive armies in the meta was maximizing any stratagem, special abilities, and relics that let you not spend command points or regain command points, either your own or your opponent's. There's lots of things that do this. Obviously, the classic example is Kurap's Aquila, which pretty much every Imperial army has in it.
Right.
Taking an Imperial Guard relic and being like, oh, anytime anything is spent by either player on a D6, on a 5 or 6, I get a point back.
The Blood Angels one too, right?
They have another one too.
Vitae,
yes,
whatever.
the Veritas Vitae.
Yeah,
same
that's
thing.
one.
So,
but those abilities no longer stack.
Well, so what Tactical Restraint does now is under any circumstances, regardless of what your weird special rules are, you can only gain 1 command point back a turn. Which some of the armies that were out there were routinely getting, 4, 5, 6 points back a turn. If there's enough command points, off there happening. If your rolling is hot and you're burning tons of command points and your opponent is burning tons of command points and you have 2 different ways and you get two different chances per spend to get a point back. So all
just
that.
Read that. There are several warlord traits, relics, and abilities to give you a chance to gain or refund command points when you or your opponent either use a stratagem or spend command points to use a stratagem. In match play games, each player can only gain or have refunded a total of 1 command point per battle round
as a result
of such rules, regardless of the source.
Yep.
So you might get 4 or 5 chances now.
Sure.
But as soon as you get one,
get the 1, you're done
for the battle round.
Right.
Which is great. I think that's great.
I think that's great. Command points are meant to go down.
Yeah.
Not start, here and go up slowly during the turn.
Or just start really high and stay really high. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And then we have a final thing, which is they have gone through and they've taken some of the usual suspect stratagems. You know who you guys are, and they have rebalanced them.
Command point
which is in general, they made them all cost more. So we're going to go through those really, really quickly. Warp Surge. Mm-hmm. Use a stratagem at the start of a phase. Select a demon unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, you cannot reroll saving throws for this unit, but its invulnerable save is improved by 1 to a maximum of 4. It used to not have a maximum, and there were weird cases out there where people were getting 2-up invulnerable saves, and just like we saw in 7th edition, Games Workshop does not like 2-up invulnerable saves. No. Just the granularity of the D6 system, when you start getting 2-up invulnerable saves, it's just too powerful.
Yeah, so that was the first stratagem. That stratagem got tweaked. The other stratagems that we're about to list off real fast
have just been...
These just got more expensive.
Exactly.
Blood Angels Upon Wings of Fire now cost 2. Yep. Imperial Knights Oathbreaker Guidance System now costs 3. Also Knights Order of Companions is now 3. Darkest Hour also from Imperial Knights.
All of the 3 most common Imperial Knight stratagems that are being used in all the competitive lists just went from 2 to 3. So they're now 50% more, which combined with the fact that you're now not recouping all those command points. So Knights are going to run out of...
As they should.
Command points pretty quick now. As they should.
Yeah. The Drukhari, Agents of Vect now cost 4 CP.
Which is nuts. And Agents of Vect just got beat with a nerf stick because it is the most powerful stratagem in the game. And it needed to be toned down in some way. So,
and again, with the rise in CP and the nerf to regenerate,
it effectively makes it even more expensive now. So they changed it in 2 ways. 1, 4 command points to use it.
4 point. It's the first, I think, the first and only 4 point command point trade.
It's the first and only. And they had already fact it to where you can only use Agents of Vect if you had Cabal of the Blackheart units in your army list. Now those Cabal of the Blackheart units have to be on the table.
Yep.
Which is going to be a big deal. Which means it already there's if they get wiped out, if they're in reserve,
they don't count. If they're not on the board, they no longer count. You can't just randomly
get use them to try to stop pregame stuff.
Yep.
So
that's a whole. Yeah. And then there was one last thing here.
I think that was it.
That's just that's to combine the Drukhari one. Yep. So one whole thing there.
That is the big fact. Yeah. So lots of changes there.
On top of that, again, there were a total of 23 changes, and that also includes there were 22 changes and 1 Kill Team errata that was released, but that's
now we're going to briefly, in about 5 minutes, we're going to kind of go through it. We're going to take a look at the actual rule book. So this is the new errata for the core rule book, because there's some big stuff in here too.
Yeah.
And this is by definition, this is the core rule book. This is altering the game. Yeah. This is not match play. This is just the way the game works
in general.
And here is the big giant one, page 177, moving. Mm-hmm. Change the second paragraph to read: if the datasheet for a model says it can fly, keyword, then during the movement phase, it can move across models and terrain as if they were not there. So, what is different about that? There used to not be a reference to the movement phase.
Yeah.
So, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
So, what that means is that the game is fundamentally different now, because for fly units, the big thing fly units were using is fly units were able to I'm sure you all have seen this, or had this done to you, fly units were able to, in the assault phase, were able to cross enemy models. So you would get fly units move up towards your lines, then they would charge over units, hit them in the back, or just charge over units and hit models that are behind them. That is all gone now. So you can pass over things only in the movement phase. Once it's the assault phase, you're straight up. You're just like guys on the ground. Which
the other thing too that it did was there were some people that were getting 0-inch charges off,
right?
Because they were able to place their units with fly on an elevated terrain that was, over top of or right in front of units that were on the ground floor. So they're effectively getting a free 9-inch charge straight down.
Right, because let's say that there's a terrain feature that's 12 inches tall, and so during the movement phase you move up.
And you take no penalty for moving up there because you have fly. You can go vertical.
And then if people want to charge you, well, they don't have fly, so you're like, I'm 12 inches up.
You can't touch me.
You can't get to me. But then when it's your turn, you would say, well, I ignore terrain, so just whoop.
Straight down, 12 inches, 9 inches, whatever, 13 inches.
So
not 13.
There was a large amount of assault shenanigans that were happening with fly units, and now during the movement, basically, as long as you're not in the movement phase, fly units are just like everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's a good move.
I think it's fair.
I think it curbs some stuff.
It means things like bubble wrap is now really effective again, because you can't have slam captains just jumping over your bubble wrap.
You can do it in the movement phase.
Right.
But
that's a lot harder.
That's a way harder proposition, yeah.
So it definitely, fly units were a little too potent and too flexible.
I still think fly is one of the best keywords in the game.
It is. I think it is still the best keyword in the game, but now it's actually kind of more in balance.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. There's choosing units to shoot with. Unless otherwise noted, each model in a unit attacks with all of its ranged weapons it is armed with. If a model in a firing unit has any weapons that can only be used once per battle, you can choose whether or not the model will fire with that weapon. Basically,
you can't hold back. This is an interesting one.
Right.
When you, it also talks about declaring, choosing your weapons. Yeah.
Choosing targets is these are kind of related.
You have to declare all your targets. You can't and again, I think this was in the core rules, but this just helps clear it up. You can't basically see what happens, and then shoot something else.
Correct, exactly. So all your weapons, both in shooting or assault, you have to assign them all and then resolve them one at a time, but they all have to be resigned. So so all of the kind of the wait and see attitude that it makes things like super heavies or things with just I have 8 different weapons. You're gonna have to make the judgment call before you start rolling any dice.
And keep in mind that doesn't overwrite any rules about firing restrictions. Sure. So, for instance, you still can't fire your pistols and your rapid fire weapons at the same time because you can only fire pistols because of the pistol keyword. You can only shoot pistols, no other weapons. But if you have 3 assault weapons, you have to fire all 3 assault weapons and declare all your targets and make all your shots like normal. It's just a clarification thing. Yeah. There's a couple other Q&A questions in there. Nothing crazy. Nothing. I don't think there's anything super game changing in those.
There's some little kind of minor corner case stuff in here. Can you ever perform a heroic intervention during your turn? No. That came up because there was some weird things that you could get with. There was some weird cases that Custodes jet bikes because they have stratagems.
Yeah,
that
it's
let
very
them,
very corner case
move out of phase and do weird stuff. So they solved that.
Also, I think the Inari with the death thing.
If you use a rule that removes a model from the battlefield and sets them up again, such as a Teleport Homer or Gate of Infinity, does that unit count as having moved for the purposes of firing heavy weapons? Yes. So I'm sure. Clarification.
They did move.
They did actually move.
Yeah.
You know, it was teleportation movement, but they did move.
Yeah. By the way, teleport homers and the infestation nodes do not count as friendly models, and they cannot control objective markers. That's another thing that was clarified.
Yes.
Which is kind of a big deal for players that use those. They are not actually models, or friendly models.
Mm-hmm. And then we have kind of interesting. The very last page of the core book FAQ is specifically some clarifications for organized events.
Yeah,
which is interesting. So these are things that are just like these were not going to come up in normal games, but if you're at a major I have no doubt that these were put in there by. There are strong links with major tournaments and Games Workshop at this point, so they probably basically have some common questions that they were just like, you guys answer them so that we don't have to. So it's just official. So this is just the way it works in large organized play. So for large organized play, there's clarifications for how do drones work. There's clarifications for how you're handling units that have multiple units for purposes of deploying, but then once the game starts, they split up. They just kind of cleared up some of that type of stuff. The big one, however, because lots of people have been asking this, is Demon Princes. So the other two are kind of
Well, because like Carnifex it goes back to the rule of 3. That's what the questions are about, but. Yes, you can have 3 units of 3 Layman Russes, and it doesn't count as...
Yeah, the question is do those squadron units that break up, do they count as 1 unit or 3 for the purposes of the rule of 3?
Yeah.
And they count as 1. So you can have 9 Russes. You can have 9 Carnifexes. The interesting one is the Demon Prince question. So I'm just going to read this one, because this one... Chaos, that sound you hear in the distance, that is Chaos players rejoicing.
Yeah.
Are the Demon Prince datasheets from Codex Chaos Space Marines, the Demon Prince of Nurgle datasheet from Codex Death Guard, and the Demon Prince of Tzeentch datasheet from Codex Thousand Suns all considered different datasheets for the purpose of organized event guidelines? The answer is yes. So what that means is that you can have 9 Demon Prince armies. It is as Tzeentch would want you to.
You can have 3 of each.
You can have 3 of each. Those are all separate, so there's going to be plenty of Demon Princes out there. Hey, if
Slaanesh gets their own,
if Tyranids can get 9 Carnifexes on the table and the Guard can get 9 Russes, hey, why not?
Yeah.
No one is out there saying, "Man, Chaos is totally overpowered and they're
ruining
the game."
Those 9 Demon Princes,
let them have their fun.
I mean, especially because of the smite nerf. So
yes.
So don't get me wrong. I don't want to fight 9 Demon Princes, but it's totally legal.
That's the core rule book. That is the big FAQ that we've all been waiting on. Of course, once again, go check out the FAQ page on Games Workshop site, because there's 20 other ones. Yeah. Every codex has one.
We have a list on the website. Go check that list. If your army is on that list, you need to look at your FAQ because you got something. It was either a 1 sentence blurb or it was a full on 3 paragraphs, 4 paragraph, whatever clarification. So please go look at those lists. Go check your rules. Make sure you're playing the most up-to-date version.
All right.
But yeah, that's all for the FAQ.
So that's it for the FAQ right now. Oh, believe me, we'll be talking about the FAQ for weeks.
There's lots of facts.
And then we pull our little babies down.
Yeah.
Ah, you only thought it was scenery.
Dun-dun-dun.
We don't actually have a Warhound yet. But the Warhound, moving back to the world of Adeptus Titanicus, first of all, check this guy out. We have a Reaver.
We got a Reaver.
Dun-dun-dun.
He's back.
So the big news is that kicking October off, we have the Warhound. The Warhound is coming. It will be here this Saturday.
Yes.
Everyone get your Warhounds together. And it is a really interesting kit. Yeah. So, obviously, here's our Warlord. Here's our Reaver. We're very excited. Yep. Look there. Check. You ready for this?
They're magnetized.
The Reaver is cool because he comes with these 3 and the Power Fist, and you can mag them all. It's really neat. All of our different little stacks of weapon cards are here. But the Warhound is coming. They showed the Warhound kit The Warhound kit is really interesting. It is, as everyone was hoping, it is two Warhounds.
It is 2 Warhounds in one box.
And the price was good.
Well, we saw today from the White Dwarf picture, it was $75.
I think. For two.
For two.
So
for one box.
Not bad.
$75, you get 2 Warhounds.
But so...
I'm super pumped about it.
It's really interesting because normally when you make a kit like that, like when Games Workshop puts the whole, you get 2 of something in the box. Really, you get the whole thing fits on a sprue or on a pair of sprues, and then they just put 2 of them in the box, right? So they could sell them singly. Warhounds aren't like that. The Warhound model is designed on its single sprue in a pair.
Yeah.
Like there's one of the sprues has like all the carapace pieces, both of them, and all the legs. So like you can't split these apart. So like Warhounds will forever be available and sold in pairs, which is cool because Warhounds are always supposed to be used in pairs.
And the other thing I like about the Warhound picks that we saw, the sprue picks, if they ever wanted to do, Chaos Warhounds, all those carapace sprues are on one sprue.
Yep.
You just pull that sprue out, put the other one in, and boom,
they're done.
And same with the weapons. If you wanted to add more weapons or different weapons, all those weapons are on one sprue. So it's, again, we've said this multiple times now, the GW designers, when they were laying out those sprues, really did the fans a great service by doing it that way. I think
you get 2 each, and a lot of people were also kind of worried as to how many weapons. So there's a full 8 weapons in that thing. So you get tons of extra weapons. So you get
double up on everything.
You get in Adeptus Titanicus there are only 4 weapons that Warhounds can get. Turbo Laser Destructors, Vulcan Mega Bolters, Inferno Guns, and Plasma Blast Guns. And that box set comes with 2 of all of them. So you will be able to outfit your pairs, mixed weapons, match double weapons. You can do everything from the crazy
double flamers.
The double flamer has potential. The double the double Vulcan Mega Bolter has some. The one I think you'll never see is the double Plasma Blast Gun because it's just too dangerous.
Yeah, it's overheat
because it has
what is it? Not. Where is it? Blast, maximum fire.
Yes. Yeah. Maximal fire.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have.
The Turbo Laser Destructor. You wouldn't see double Turbo Laser Destructor because it's draining, so it's gonna like overheat you really fast, and you put 2 of them on something that's small.
Because the Warhounds have a smaller engine, so
it's already risky. The interesting thing about the Warhound weapons is that a lot of these weapons of the Warhound's arms are also top carapace weapons for the Warlord.
Yeah.
So you can put them on top of here. So if you put as long as you really pay attention to your mags, when you mag all your weapons out, you can set those things up to where now all of a sudden you have a lot more weapon options for your upper carapace weapons on your warlords, which is super cool.
Yeah, you gotta check your warlord carapace weapons, but you can totally do that. So. It would be interesting. Yeah,
really excited.
I can't wait. I've got my warlords. I've got my Reavers on the way. I'm working. I can't wait to get my hands on the Warhound kit too, because I'm gonna have a full Legion.
Yep. Warhounds, as you guys know, super awesome. They're on round bases, so they're not on these ovals. They're on, I think they're on 60 rounds, so basically the same as a dreadnought. It's like a Space Marine dreadnought. You get 2 of them. Obviously, they're going to be, you see how big these are.
Are they 60 rounds or are they smaller?
I think they're 60s.
Right. Terminator side bases is the Knights. I'm thinking Knights. Yeah.
And these things are. We've played enough Titanicus games. These things are going to be super. It's going to change. This is one of the big missing units that the game really needs. So now we're 2 months into the game. All of the core Titans are now out. We have the Warlords. We have the War. And those Warhounds they're super fast. When you deploy them as a squadron, they can do all kinds of cool squadron tricks. They can go base to base and share their shields.
They should.
They activate at the same time, so they both move at the same time, and they both fire at the same time, so they can they can get benefits off each other for shooting if they're shooting at the same target. And they're so fast.
They're much faster than way faster than the
Warlord. They can move 12 inches as opposed to the Warlord's 4 or 6, and they can turn up to 5 times. Yeah. So they can just run. They're going to be crazy.
Circles. And it's great too because they add again. I was. When the Reaver Titan came out, I really felt like the Reaver Titan coming out made the game a real game. Now you could have your big guy, your medium guy, and the Knights, but now you've got your Warhounds, which are the little guys, and they just add so much. They're fast.
Right.
They're still super deadly because they're still freaking Titans.
Right. They're so they're really squirrely.
Yeah, they're real squirrely. And they're small enough to like really take advantage of that terrain.
Right.
And they're fast enough to get underneath the firing arcs of those carapace weapons too.
And what I really like is that they've done a really good. So in a lot of games, you'll just have like, this is the big thing, and this is the medium thing, and this is the little thing, and it's just, but they're still just kind of on a spectrum.
Yeah.
But they're still kind of vaguely the same unit. You get a lot of one could make an argument that there's a lot of that in 40K because of the unified stat line.
Yeah.
But Warhounds, and they did a good job of making each of the three core Titans actually have its own niche. It's not so like Warhounds aren't just in between the two; they also have the most weapon options. So they're very flexible.
Oh, you're talking about Reavers?
Yeah, Reavers.
Reavers, yeah.
Sorry. Reavers have tons of weapon options.
Yeah.
And they're the only thing in the game that has a 360 fire arc on their top weapon, which is which is really cool. So they're Warhounds are just crazy maneuverable. It's not just that they're fast; it's that they're they can pivot 5 times a turn, which is nuts.
That is nuts. That's going to allow you to line up a lot of your shots too, or get them where they need to be.
Yeah.
Because facing does matter in this game. Maneuvers do matter in this game a little bit more than say like 40K. It's not as freewheeling, so it's kind of a big deal. To even their base move allows them to turn up to 3 times.
3 times base.
which is huge.
Yeah.
Their base move is 8 speed with 3 turns a pop. You can do almost a 180. You can't do a 180. 1-2. Yeah, you could totally do a 180 turn. You can get behind a Warhound and really cause. Oh, so you can take a Warhound and get behind a Warlord.
And if you do, he cannot.
Yeah.
Like, he's screwed.
Yeah.
Like, he will not be able to turn around.
Yeah.
In time to get you out of that arc.
And conversely, they're fast enough to also challenge those night banners we've seen because when we've played some games where the night banners got either to the flank or were able to get around the warlord and really cause some problems.
And that could be one of the things that you're using warlords for, right? I mean, warhounds. There may be there's entire tactics where maybe you're going to be guarding your flanks with a pair of warhounds. And using them to engage and clear out knights or to clear out any of your rear arcs. They've done an excellent job also of, now that we have all 3 and the knights, you really get to see how the warlord. Yes, it's super scary, but they are just buses. Like they are so unmaneuverable that I mean, I don't know if taking the army list of three warlords can actually reliably win games, because they are going to kill you. Well, if you're out in the open in front of them, they're going to kill you.
Yeah.
But the moment you close with them and get behind them, they are literally I mean, they can't stop
turn
you
fast enough. Yeah.
I mean, or they're going to be doing weird, pinwheel things where they're going back to back to try to just to try to fight you off. But they've done. Those are the kinds of things where exact positioning, exact weird maneuvering formations is going to come in really handy, and it's really cool. And these are the types of things that you don't see in 40K.
Right.
It's this is a much more fiddly game. Which if you like that kind of thing, it's great for you. The game system can handle it because there's such a smaller number of units on the table.
It's fiddly, but it's not fiddly in a way that's not fun. No. And it's I don't know. It's just really well done.
Yep.
The models look fantastic on the tabletop too. I'm loving Adeptus Titanicus, man.
So
and getting those Warhounds is just gonna change the game up even more for me. I want to load them up with the Vulcan Mega Bolters and go shield popping. That's really what I want to do.
That's gonna be good.
Because I believe, how many shots was a Vulcan Mega Bolter?
6.
It's 6 dice at strength 4.
Yeah.
So it's fairly low strength.
12 shots.
But it's 12 shots and you're going to be plinking those void shields.
Yep.
Trying to set up the big shots for your Reavers or your Warlords to just plow through.
Mm-hmm.
As we saw in our test games, those many dice volleys
are really good.
Really good against dropping void shields.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I'm digging it. Yeah.
So that is the show for today. We had a great time. This was all Games Workshop. It's not normally, but there's just so much stuff has dropped in the last
Slaanesh
week.
Oh man. Yeah.
So super excited.
Cool. We didn't even talk about Nightfall either. The announcements for that, the 2 other warbands that they showed off.
Lots of stuff.
GW is on the ball this week for sure.
Lots of stuff. I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing a lot more. So keep your eyes open. We're going to be having clearly lots more orcs. We'll see whether
Orktober's here.
We'll see how much more Slaanesh stuff. Maybe there's more sprues hiding
hiding in the trash.
Hiding in the trash. We'll let you know.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm Adam Harry.
And I'm Larry Vella. And thanks so much for watching, guys. We will catch you here next week.
Next week. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.